right, good morning, good morning. Sorry, I had to start up the live stream there. Let me get my screen share started for you guys here in the Discord, and we'll rock and roll. Can everybody see my screen and hear anything at all? I hope so. If you can, just put a 1 in the chat, please. If you can't, don't put anything in the chat because I know you're a liar. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning. So it is Tuesday. We're at New Year's Eve. So we have one more day after today before the year's over. So it's going to be an interesting 2026. I want to make sure everybody's squared away as much as possible as we head into the new year. So as you can see here, I still have my shares of Saidu. I think we're doing okay on this one. I did add 2 more shares down here, so not a huge commitment there, but I grabbed some Friday, sorry. And then I just straight up forgot to open this account again. So I just ended up holding them all weekend, added some more yesterday morning, and then I'm back above my cost basis today. So if you were, in a position like this ever, and you do get back above your cost basis, you can always reduce your position size. So in this one, remember, I have a double buy size. So I can reduce this anytime I want. So we'll see. Let me just do my day trade watch list here. We'll just get the party started and we'll just rock and roll. So first step is always just building the watch list. So that's the easiest part, I think, for at least myself, because it's just looking at some numbers here. So on Webull, I make sure I go to the pre-market. Sorry, I thought I heard my alarm clock. I was like, you're a little early today, buddy. Another 4.5 minutes on that one. So first thing I'm going to look for is just percent change. Make sure I'm on pre-market and make sure I'm on the top gainers. You can use any screener you want. I just like using this one because it's fast, easy, and accessible for everybody. And what I like to do is just look at the percent change first, just to kind of skim and make sure that everything kind of makes sense. I don't see any triple-digit runners this morning, and we are about to head into a half day and then a day off as far as the market hours are concerned. So got to be very cautious with the holiday market schedule. So I see PFSA here is about 90%, which is close enough. We could very easily pop over 100% into market open. And then the next 2 things that I like to look for are the volume and market cap. And the volume, I want to make sure is at least 1 times or some multiple of the market cap. I don't want to see the volume less than the market cap in most cases. And I also have to factor in the price. So the market cap is a product. So you multiply share price times the float of a stock, and that's how you get the market cap or market capitalization. And that's just what the company's worth to the market. And if the price is super, super low, like 13 cents here, the market cap is going to be very low. So it's got to be proportional. So in this case, I would then just look at the float and say, okay, it's 55 million float. They have about 10 million restricted shares. So 65.68 million total shares created. So maybe. Right, and I'm going to kick down to the 2-minute here just to kind of see what the chart looks like. I see a ton of wicks here, and I don't see spectacular volume. I do see a high percentage, so I'm going to add this, not with the intent to focus on it. Like, this isn't going to be my #1 candidate here, but I will watch it in case it does get volume, because this one has potential. So it's not there yet, but it has potential if it pushes up and gets volume. Then Amex here, AMIX. I've traded the hell out of this one. I love this one. Only when the volume is there, but it has a, let's say, almost a 7, I'd say like a 6 to 1 volume to market cap ratio. And this one is sub-$1. So I'm going to add this one too. Now I can't trade this one below $1. I have to wait till it gets over $1 because my my maximum buy size is about $32 on this account because it's a smaller account. So in order to buy something sub-$1 on Webull, you have to buy at least 100 shares, which means that would cost me $87 if I were to buy it right here. So I can't commit to that. So I'm just going to watch it. I'll add it to the list anyway. Also going to extend this over here just so I can keep an eye on these pre-market prices as I'm building my watch list. EKSO, I love this one. This is an easy one. It doesn't have a good volume to market cap ratio just yet, but it does have a nice low float, and that can very easily change. So I'm going to add this one just because I like it, but none of these 3 really satisfy my criteria yet. So let's see what else we get. AEHL is trash right now. This is one of my favorite stocks. I do like this one. If you look back historically, let me see if it's on this account. We get some nice pops on this one. There we go. But it gives them back right away. So this is not one you want to marry, but it is one that we can enter and move those stop losses up over and over and over again, as long as we use the stop losses. And as long as we get out after it stops moving, there's a lot of profit to be made on a stock like this. Okay. But you got to be careful. So none of that profit's going to count if you're giving it all back in, traumatic and heavy losses. Okay. So I'm not going to add this one to my list just yet because I don't see the volume. This is going to be one where volume just kind of pumps in and then probably just falls right off immediately. So maybe within like 10 minutes, you'll get the whole volume surge and then it's dead. So got to be careful with that one. CETX, I love this one. Definitely adding this one to my watch list. Now this one needs directional volume. It's got a little bit of chop to it, but we do have a couple. I'm just going to draw this box right here, right now. And then I'm just going to look back and see, did we see any other significant moves out of this area to the upside or the downside? And yes, we've got moves here. We got to move here. We got to move here. We got to move here. And then we got to move here. So this area here has a lot of potential. So I'm going to keep watching that area. Okay. Easy peasy. ONTF is trash. That's just one of those ones that spikes. It's usually like a dilution catalyst or private sale or something like that. So I'm not seeing a lot this morning. Okay, DRMA is good. I'm going to add this to my list, but this one, it's a little early. We got to wait for the volume to actually come in. And then FLYE, I don't like. GDHD, I don't like. So in this case, we don't really have a whole bunch going on in the morning. So got to be very careful on a day like today, especially because we have the early closure tomorrow. And then Thursday, the market's closed. So got to be cautious. So I got my list built. We still have 10 minutes till market opens, so we can hang out and stare at each other. Oh, there's my alarm clock. How you doing, buddy? I don't know if you guys could hear that, but he's awake now. That's my alarm that tells me we got 5 minutes till auction cross. All right, so it looks like Amex might want to push a little early, and that's okay. Just like we saw yesterday with BNAI, I'm going to pull that one up. If something wants to go, we don't have to be in it, right? Oops, I just moved that line by accident. We've got setups that we can look for, and they're pretty basic, right? I don't use a complicated strategy on purpose because I don't want people getting confused or overwhelmed or anything like that. So basically, we just identify areas of high potential, low risk, and then we take those low risk opportunities and we catch a small piece of the move on the bulk of our shares. And then we lock those, right, just to make the trade safer. And then we let the smaller piece just run as far as it wants to. And then we cut it off as soon as it stops. So that's the plan. That's the approach. I like being lazy. So I want the chart to make all my decisions for me. And I want to just listen to the chart and it tells me what to do and when. And it's a beautiful process. So we'll see where that all goes. I think my top two candidates here are probably going to be EKSO and PFSA going into the open. And then, of course, Amex is a little undecided, but it looks like it's got some potential for a push here. So I'm seeing a lot more action on PFSA. Let me also put these in the chat. And I'm also going to put I want to put the YouTube link in this channel here, just in case anybody's having technical issues. AMIX, EKSO, CETX, and DRMA. So that's the set of tickers that I'm watching here. Also going to put this on the live stream for everybody who's watching outside of the Discord. And if you guys are, make sure you guys get in our Discord. I'll put the link there in the chats as well. It's 100% free to join. Sorry about that. I had to hear my voice for a second. And there is the YouTube link, just in case anyone's having any technical issues, can't watch the screen, can't hear the voice, whatever. Discord sucks sometimes. So I want to make sure everyone has access to that. So, and then let me just make sure that I put the watch list of my tickers on the highlighted comments section. So it's always on the screen. All right, so I think EKSO wants to push. Remember, this is the one I find the most stable. I like this one, and I like CETX and DRMA as far as candidates go. Amex is good, it's fun. PFA is good, it's fun, but it's not a good candidate for a longer impulse, So we'll see where those go. But basically anything over $1. I don't want to trade the little sub-dollar cheapy crap stocks because they're dangerous. So if something like this wants to just blast, that's okay. I'm just going to let it go. We got about 2 minutes till auction cross. I'm just going to draw some lines here. And for anyone who hasn't been on my streams before, all I do is look for big displacements. I look for big impulse candles, and then I just look for a small candle next to them. So in this case, we've got an impulse candle right here, these two relatively larger candles, but this range is pretty big. You can't really see that because I'm covering it. You can see this candle starts up here and it closes down here. That's a pretty wide range, so I'm not going to draw that one. But if I come over here, I've got a big candle here that leads to this bigger impulse, and it's got a tiny candle here. And this is what people misunderstand about fair value gaps, is they look at the gap itself and they're taught on YouTube, incorrectly what those fair value gaps represent. And it's nobody doing it maliciously necessarily. It's just people that don't understand it themselves, just kind of perpetuating misinformation. So fair value gaps do certainly have value, and there is a specific way to use them. But it's not just some abnormal number of buyers stepping in. It logically doesn't make sense. It doesn't mechanically make sense. It's just one of those mistruths that gets perpetuated. There is no imbalance. There's only one small period of imbalance in the market. It's 5 minutes before market open. It is called auction cross, and it resolves before market opens. So keep that in mind. That's not what moves price. It's not a disbalance between buyers and sellers. That's not how it works. So with that in mind, what we can also do is just kind of see if anything overlaps there. I kind of like that. Yeah, I like that a lot better. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this one yellow, and I'm going to color code these. Orange ones are a little bit weaker. Orange ones with the dashed line are much weaker. And those are what I like to call transitory zones because they're not permanent. They allow the price to push through and pass through, and they get invalidated all the time. But they're areas nonetheless, and we don't use these things to predict price. We look for alternate realities, and we just try to live in the one that's happening. So in this case, if we were to draw this box here and look for a move out of this box, the yellow box specifically, I'll just walk you through this because we got about 5 minutes till market open. When the price enters this box, okay, we can put a line above that entry candle, right? Think of it like a needle going into skin, right? We're here to get the blood out. We're like a little mosquito. So now all we have to do is wait for the price to break over that candle, or if we get lower highs, we can do that here. So in this case, this would be the lower high right there. And then we can enter on a break of that, whatever lower high it is. And then the entry candle, the low of that candle can be our stop loss. Because remember, we want to get in when the price is going in the direction that makes us money. We want to stay in when it's doing that, and we want to get out when it stops doing that. So this is a very simple strategy that I like to use all the time. That kind of accomplishes that. So if we do have a stop, if we have to take a loss, it's okay, right? We stop out, we make it as small as possible. That way it's not traumatic and makes us go broke, right? And you shouldn't be those losses super tiny, and you're going to allow for disproportionately larger profits, which is also pretty straightforward. It's just not easy to do because we're human. But this is a simple strategy. So every time the price breaks into here, we can just take an attempt if we want to, if we really like the level. So in this case, we would have taken a stop out right here. Okay. And then we can just wait for the price to break back over that area. And then we can use the entry candle for a stop loss. I like to wait for a candle close. Oops, sorry, I accidentally hit the D key there. So in this case, you might take a couple little losses there. And then eventually, yeah, you're going to have your bigger move that's going to wash away all those losses. And then you got to be careful doing that in December, obviously, because the wash sale rule, right? You're not going to get those losses unleashed until the after the 1st, which means you can't claim those specific losses from the last 30 days on your taxes. And you also, if you buy something that you've taken a loss on in December, if you rebuy it within that 30-day window after you sell for a loss, that loss is also disallowed. So you have to be very careful about December into January because of that 61-day window for wash sales. Just a heads up, because we're in that time of year. So it's not so much that you stop wash sailing before the end of the year. You also have the 30-day window after the sale. So be careful with that. And that's why you have to wait until February to get your 1099s and all that from your broker, because the wash sale window has to close before they can write it down and make it official. Okay. So with that said, I don't really see a whole bunch of movement here. It might just be one of those days where we don't get a bunch of action, and that's okay. Anyone thinking Saidu up? Yeah, I'm actually in Saidu right here. I got about half this portfolio in it. But don't copy me. Don't do what I do. I put stuff in front of you guys, good and bad, so you can see it and you can kind of process it on your own. And I sometimes just don't do the right thing, and that's okay. In this case, I bought some shares on Friday. Makes for great content, and I just closed the account and I didn't look back at it because I got super busy, right? Which we all do. We all get busy. And then I grabbed some more shares yesterday. I grabbed 2 more shares down here, and then it's back up to my cost basis right now. So I like this stock. I've traded the hell out of it. That's the only reason I'm comfortable enough holding it, but it's also dangerous, right? So I don't want anyone here to have to deal with drawdown. And I want everyone to acknowledge that drawdown is always a choice. You don't ever have to accept it if you don't want to. Okay, if you want your stop losses to be 1 cent, you can do that. Okay. All right, EKSO looks like it's popping out of the area, and that's the area we just drew. So it's not something that we're going to retroactively claim as, you know, oh, look at what happened here. We drew it because of this move. Okay, so you got to be cautious with that as well. We got Amex kind of curling down a little bit. CETX just hovering, going sideways. DRMA looks like it might be getting ready for a little breakout here. I'll have to see though, right? There's nothing we can use right here to justify an entry, right? There's nothing here that I can say, okay, I can identify a high potential, low risk opportunity out of this range. Like right here, yeah, above here, that'd be great. If I can get a trade like that, that'd be awesome. But down here, no, I don't see anything. PFSA as well. There's just nothing set up, right? We have this kind of area right here, but it's super weak and super sketchy. So let's just make it orange and see what happens. Okay. Amex, there's this right here is a beautiful zone. I like that. That's a nice low relative range. Market is open right now, so I'm just going to pop back over to here. We got our little bit of shuffle on this one. We're kind of testing these zones, and this one may very well just sell off. They closed their public offering not too long ago, and that's okay. Sorry, let me just rearrange all my stuff here. Get over to the 1 day, and then I'm going to click top losers, top gainers. That refreshes this list, so now I can see kind of what's moving for the day. All right, now that we're not in extended hours, I can cancel my sell order on this, and then I can just use my hotkeys to sell. So with that said, I have 2 trades that I want to take in addition to Saidu, but I have to find a good candidate first. So I don't really see anything just yet. I'm really wanting to look at Amex here. So this one is getting a lot of attention, and I'm judging that based on the flashing of the red and the green over here, as well as the percentage moves, both up and down. Now this is the one I can't trade. It's 80. It would cost $80, and my max buy size is $32. So I can't do that just yet. So I want to see this get over $1. So let me draw a line at $1, and then I'm going to make that a big fat orange line. Okay, and then PFSA obviously is wanting to push a little bit. This is a $15 commitment if I do buy it, but I'm going to wait for a little bit of a pullback on this one. So I'm going to draw a zone right here because I like this move. And I'm okay to let a move go, right? We don't have to get in on that initial move. There's always a pullback. There's always something that we can use for a secondary entry on these kinds of moves. So we're just going to hang out and see what happens here. I kind of like this EKSO, but it's got to hold. So now, right, what I can do, I could draw a line up here. Now this is super high up, so I'd like to see at least a better opportunity down here. I don't want to just buy this because it's showing a huge red candle into a zone. I want to see a confirmation off this zone. So we'll give it another 2 minutes or so, and then if this candle here can close, you know, down here ideally, then we can move this line down and use that as an entry threshold for a breakout on that candle change. If it just wants to go, that's okay. I don't have to fight with that and chase it. So while that's going, because I know I got another 2 minutes or so, I can just kind of shop around a little bit, see what's going on. CETX had a beautiful pop, but I don't trust it. You know, this one doesn't really have anything up here that I can justify taking a bullish entry on anyway. There's definitely some bearish potential there, but you know, some of these are showing strength like that. That's a hell of a buy up there, and it's coming off a strong bullish move, but I can't participate if I can't read it. I have to be able to trust it. So let's look at DRMA. I kind of like this one better out of all the other ones, honestly. Yeah, I think if we can break over this candle high here, I think I might take a stab at DRMA. We'll see. We'll see what it gives us. Yeah, this is it's just a rough environment. I don't really see too much that I like here, except PFSA, which again is just nonstop, you know, just up and down. So not a big fan of that stuff. So we'll hang out for a little bit. You guys are putting some tickers in the chat as well. Is BNAI moving again? It looks like it was, but popped right out of that box. I think the better entries on this one are going to come down here in the low 220s, at least in my opinion. So we'll see what that wants to give, but I don't see a lot of volume on this one. It's got 29.36% turnover for the day. So maybe when the volume ramps back up, we get a little bit stronger of a push. That one might have some juice on it. Yeah, that's kind of shaky there. I think I'd hold off on that one. All right, so in this case, we've got another lower candle here. So if the RMA can break over 255, I might take a stab at it. I'll have to see how the volume actually looks. Just going to look at CETX as well. Looks like it popped up nicely, but I'll trust it. All right, here we go. So EKSO did move down. We got a lower high on that one. So this one and DRMA, I'm kind of eyeballing pretty closely here. And I could put a buy stop order in and just let it automate if I want. But I kind of like showing you guys the stuff in real time. So I know I need 255 on DRMA and I need 859 on EKSO. So I can just kind of keep an eye on this column right here and just keep these numbers in my brain, and it'll tell me when it's time. My brain likes to remind me. Amex is still hanging out, and CETX is pulling back a little bit. It's a nice little 3-bar play there, but again, I don't see a confirmation that I like. So I will draw this range, though. I do like that. Now, that's going to be transitory AF because that's it's been passed through multiple times in both directions. So, all right, looks like DRMA is failing to break out. EKSO is pulling back, so it didn't hold the level. So it looks like we're probably coming down to test this zone, which has the stronger potential anyway. I'm going to erase this line as well. Let me move this down here. So I think for this one, I might try just a straight candle break over this high. This is a pretty big risk range, though, so I got to be careful with that stuff. But we can do it for science and for content, right? If we break over, like if we get a break over one of these candle highs, I think that'd be ideal. But I'd love to see it come down here and test this area, personally. All right, we got about a minute 18 on this next candle here. And then we'll have 4 of the 5 candles dropping down. So we'll see if it wants to give us that or if it wants to pull back up. DRMA is definitely pulling down, so no entry on that one. CETX just looks like it wants to just keep pushing like a psycho. Which again, you know, it's okay to just let stuff go. We don't have to participate in everything. There are millions and millions of dollars worth of moves in the market all day, every day. We have to break the habit of just getting in because we see something, you know, it's not healthy. So I would like to see this zone retested on PFSA. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to break this up. This might be a little hard for you guys to see, but I have to be able to see the tickers, unfortunately. I'm going to put PFSA down here in the lower left, and I'm going to kind of zoom in on these too, just so we can all see. I just want to be able to see the candles as they close, right? So basically, I'm just looking for a move down into one of these areas and then a quick pop to the upside. And I've got my buttons set right here, so I can just get in when it's time. All right, so this candle here closed, so I'm going to move this threshold down on EKSO, which is in the top left. And then if we get a pop over that this 820 level, then I'll go ahead and enter there. So I've clicked on this chart to make sure it's active. I see a blue border around it. I'm also going to move this line down on PFSA. So basically, I just click the chart that I want to trade, and then I come over here and I hit this buy at market button, and it gets me in. And then I can use my hotkeys to sell out of the shares as the price moves. So I think this one has a stronger quality setup PFSA, but it looks like EKSO might be triggering first. So we'll see which one I get into first. I don't mind trading both of them, honestly. And it's disclaimer time, so don't just blindly copy Pookie. You know, I'm showing you what I do and how I do it. I want you to scrutinize everything and see if things make sense for you, and then collect some data to determine whether or not it's worth risking your money on. Okay, so I'm never going to tell you what to buy or what to sell, and I don't want you guys to follow me just in case. All right, so Amex is also setting up kind of nicely here, but I can't trade this one on this account. So I don't really care what it does until it's above $1. So right here on EKSO, I just saw a little bit of a shuffle here on the order book. So that may be indicative of a potential break over here in a little bit. Got some good volume coming in. Nice strong profile for now, but it's got to solidify. We got to see a sustained flow of strong volume. Looks like PFSA is coming down to the yellow zone. That's good. I would much rather get it off that zone. I'm going to go ahead and move this down here as well. Things are getting a little bit volatile here. Got a nice little 5-candle run on EKSO. So as soon as that breaks over, I'm going to take my entry. There we go. I'm in EKSO. And I'm going to watch for a similar move here on PFSA, but I'd like to see it puncture this little yellow box first. Now we got to use some common sense, okay? We are entering this trade, or I am, on an impulse to the downside. So I'm only trading the retracement here. So I don't want to ride this thing out forever. I just want to kind of get my piece and get out. And if it wants to go lower, I'll just exit and take the small hit. We don't want to take big risks on stuff like this. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here on PFSA as soon as that breaks over. That's another 5-candle run. Now the challenge here is I got to move my mouse back and forth, so that's going to be a little bit annoying. So my stop loss is right here below that candle, by the way. So yep, I'm out. I'm going to just take the hit, get out, move on with my day. I don't want to get stuck in that if it wants to come all the way down to like $5, you know. So drawdown is a choice, and I'm choosing not to deal with it on that stock. Because remember, we did take a bearish impulse. We caught a little bit of a pullback there, and that was not a reversal. Okay, so now we'll try it on PFSA. Oops, where is it? There we go. All right, so I'm going to try it over here on this one as well. Now, we didn't really puncture the box, so that's kind of a moderate risk entry, but I'm comfortable enough with it. So far today, I've taken an 82-cent loss on a $130 account. So that's the kind of small loss we want to accept. We don't want to accept a $50 loss because there goes half the account, you know. All right, I'm going to go ahead and grab my piece here on PFSA. And then, of course, if it does the same thing, I'll just take the hit. I'll exit. You know, I don't need to take heavy drawdown on either of these positions. It is a crappy environment this morning. We've got a half day tomorrow, and then we've got a day of closure, so short week, right? So weeks like this, I typically don't want to endure a bunch of drawdown, especially on these little low float garbage stocks. So I just want to get my piece and get out. There's 2%, 2.5%. I could have just locked my profits right there and walked away. So if I'm a new trader and I see Pookie trading and I want to embody what he's doing and I'm copying him, I'd be locking my profits right here, right now, and focusing on discipline and not just trying to get trading signals. Okay, so I don't want to see anybody struggle here. You've got enough time to get some profits out of this. And like always, you know, we don't have to sell everything. We don't have to hold everything. There's a huge gray area we can live in between where we can sell, you know, most of our shares and guarantee a net profit just in case it turns back around and goes negative on us, because those losses are what takes people out of the market. It's not the profits. So there's nothing wrong with just grabbing your little piece and locking it in and taking that bird in the hand instead of trying to swat at the bush and figure out what's going on in there. It's a bear. Delicious. And overall, I mean, I would like to see this price come down here and test this zone here. In reality, that's what I'd like to see, which, you know, if that happens, that will be my stop out, because I'm just using the bottom of the entry candle, or this candle before it, sorry, as my stop loss. So that's as far down as I'm willing to let that go. I don't want it going all the way down to, you know, 10 cents or something like that. And Saidu also is, you know, it's pushing up pretty nicely into this zone here. So as long as it doesn't reject and go bloody, I think we'll be all right on that one. And again, you know, if I'm a new trader and I get stuck in that position and I don't want to be in it, anytime it pops over that cost basis, we can reduce our exposure just to get most of the risk off the table, get a lot of that emotion out of the mix, especially if you're new and kind of stressed out from trading. We don't have to take big risks and try to be a hero to try to make money in the market. So this one should be getting our pop here pretty soon. It's compressing nicely. There's a heartbeat. Let's see if we get our nice high stall that we like. So I want to see the candle stall like right here. Just push, 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 and then stall, and then a break. So we'll see if that wants to, if they want to give that to us, or if we're going to have some turbulence. All right, there's a little move on Saidu. It's pushing up. It's 1.5% up. It's taking a little bit. And remember, this 13.6 level right here, that's my final cut. I don't want to have anything below that on PFSA. Because if we zoom out, I don't want it coming all the way down here. That's unnecessary. So I'm going to define a hard cut point because I don't want it to drop below that. And then have that nice safe entry with all the boxes checked. I don't want that to just turn into a bloodbath for no reason. Okay. So there's a nice little buy up on that. We got a giant wick on the bottom, which is decent. And then we are pretty well stacked, a little bit higher up on the ask side, but it's got to get there. So we're looking for chain fills that just chop the price up. There's 2.5%, 3% right there. You could have just locked that one and walked away. There's 4%. Okay, so I'm going to probably lock most of my shares here pretty soon at about 4%. So right about there. So I'll lock most of my shares right there just to guarantee a net profit on the remaining shares. And then as this continues to push, I got a few different options that I can use. There's 8%, 9%. So pretty easy stuff as far as mechanical trading goes. It's not always easy psychologically, but it's pretty easy entry, and I can exit anytime. I can move a stop loss up to protect it, whatever. A lot of the pressure's off the table because I've managed to secure the bulk of my shares. So if you look at my realized P&L, it's no longer 86 cents down, it's 21 cents up. So I had one loss, one win, and it's only a partial win. So I still have additional profits to take here. We're 11, 12%, 13, 14. I'm going to lock another piece of it right there at about 17% up because the price might halt, and I don't want to get stuck in that. So I've only got a tiny piece left, but it's covering a much wider range. I'm also going to go ahead and take some of this off the table here pretty soon. I think I'm seeing a lot of wick action here. If we could break over this wick, we should be fine, but I don't want to hang out too long. Yeah, this one may very well halt. It's got 25.5 million volume, and it's more than 10%. So I'm actually surprised that hasn't halted already. This is supposed to LUDP halt right like a long time ago. So the exchange is being a little weird. Might have missed that one, but this definitely should have halted. And if you're not familiar with the halts, let me know too, because I can talk about that. There's 3 different tiers of halts. There's different types of halt. There's halts versus suspensions, depending on the exchange. There's a bunch of stuff that you can learn about so that you don't get caught in big drastic moves. And because then you can't control anything. You know, the only thing you can control otherwise is your risk exposure. You know, you choose whether or not you're in or out and by how much and how far you allow the price to travel once you're in. Anything beyond that, you don't control. And when you're halted, you can't even control that. So it's a very stressful time for a lot of people. And then that's when the brain wants to hope, you know, so we start getting hopeful and we say, oh, maybe it's going to unhalt up here at 20 cents. And then when it opens up down here at 12 cents, you're panicked because that's not the end result you expected. And we talk about the neuroscience component of that in Lifetime, and we help get that under control, and we talk through it so that way those moments don't destroy you. But it's also just super helpful to just take those profits as the price is pushing. We want to sell into the strength so we can avoid all that stress, because right now I've only got 14 shares, which is a grand total of $2 in total cost. So I'm not too stressed about this potentially falling down because I've guaranteed most of my profits. All right, another nice little wick right here so far. Let's see if this candle can turn bullish. Ooh, there's a nice little compression. I don't know if you guys saw that. I'll draw a line here and I'll kind of re-illustrate. But there's a level right here, 1651-ish. And the price was just kind of ping-ponging between the two, but the lows were getting higher. And it just kind of like, you know, like when you drop a ping pong ball and then you try to push like a paddle down and it just bounces super, super fast. That's what it was just doing into that 1650 level. So that's a good sign for us. That shows that there's one larger algo, which is just a high frequency trader set up by a bank or some other institutional entity. And it just consumed a small one that was trying to absorb the price and keep it suppressed below 1650. So now the price is moving above 1650, which means that we should be in pretty good shape for continuation in theory. Now that's what should happen. So if that doesn't happen, I'm going to move my stop loss up here because I don't want this coming back down, because the theory dictates that it should move up and continue up. So anything outside of that, particularly within this wick range right here, because that shows also institutional participation there. I want to make sure we break over that wick and go for a new high. So basically this is my zone that I'm looking for the price to break out of, either down here or up here. And either way, I'm going to get out. Like that's my priority at this point, is I'm looking to reduce and just to get out. Possessive, got your piece from EKSO. So thankfully done for the day. Have a good day, everyone. That's beautiful, man. So happy to hear that. Let's take a peek over there at EKSO. Good stuff. Right out of that box. Look at that. Boom. So if I wanted to take more opportunities on this one, that's exactly what we could have done. Or I'll just erase this and show you guys. So we had the entry here. I took kind of a high entry on that one. That's okay. The better entry was right here. It's a little more textbook. So we moved the price, the wick down here. So basically I didn't follow my strategy today. This would have been the entry candle that we put the threshold on, and then it would have moved down to here. It would have broke here with a stop loss down here, and we would have had our profit right here, just like Possessive did. So congrats, Possessive. I'm glad you can just move on with your day. That's the goal. We trade to trade less. Go live your life, man. Don't stare at charts all day. Little pieces add up over time. We don't have to make this a full-time grind. It should not be a lifestyle. So you're doing the right thing, in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and reduce some of my position here on Saidu. I just don't like what it's doing, and I am over allocated a little bit. So I'm okay with a smaller piece running if it wants to break out, but I don't want to maintain a huge position just in case it struggles to get over this area here, because it has. And last time it sold all the way down here to 270. So I don't want to live in denial about its struggle right here. Okay. And that will realize me a net profit of $2.06 so far. Again, not huge dollar amounts, but percentage-wise, I'm up 10% for the day. Yesterday it was like 40% or something. So we're having a good enough time. Or I guess 20%. The position was up 45. So the total P&L would be 20. Yeah, what's up, Bull? Sorry, I didn't see your message there. Welcome, welcome. How you doing? Also, I don't know. Is my friend here? Is my friend Mr. Matt? Mr. Donkey, if you will. I don't see him. If you are here, let me know. Put something in the chat, buddy. I want to make sure you see this. It's one of my friends who play video games at nighttime. everyone's wanting to get into the trading world a little bit more. I think I might be getting ready to cut this one here pretty soon. This is PFSA. It's just not doing what I want it to do. And now I see 3 wicks, which is an institutional signature. So I do not want to get caught in this if it doesn't break over these wicks, because it absolutely should at that point crash down to like 13 cents, and I don't want to be in that. So I think I'm going to probably cut this one here pretty soon. And if it wants to blast after that, I don't care. Like, my job isn't to be right. I don't need to be a hero. I'm just cutting it right there. Ooh, I got it right before the stop loss. Nice. My job is not to be a hero. It's just to make money. Like, I just need to get in when it's time to get in, get out when it's time to get out. So 0 denial, 0 stress there. All right, so we've got a Harami candle here. So for this one as well, if it breaks to the upside, meaning that it pops over this candle, you know, right here, this is the range that I'm looking for. If it breaks below, I'm just going to cut it, and it'll just be above my break even. If it wants to go up and get over these wicks as well, I see all these wicks right here. We got a nice ugly area right here that could lead to a massive sell-off. I don't want to be in it if it falls down. So if it breaks below that line, I'm out. If it breaks above 307, I'll stay in, but I want it to hold $3. So if it can't hold $3, I'm not going to hold my shares. And again, if I get out and then it just wants to blast, that's okay. I don't care. I don't need to be right. I just need to be safe. That's all. So it looks like Webull is showing that there was a fill down here. I didn't see the price go down. You guys probably didn't see the price go down. So I'm not going to validate that specifically. But if it comes down and I see like the body of the candle actually show up down here, like, I hope you guys see that. I'm not trying to like be sketchy about that. Like, the wick just kind of crawled down there. So I try to be as transparent as possible with this stuff. So I'm going to get my hotkey ready just in case, right? But I hope no one's going to crucify me over that. No, you should have stopped out. It's like, I didn't see it. Yeah. All right, so I've got 6 shares, which is a position size of about, oh, where is it? Where'd my number go? It's $18. So it's just over half my original position size anyway. So I'm at like a quarter, like an eighth of the account, basically. All right, it definitely wants to tap that $3 level. So I'm just going to sit here and hold this, and I'm making sure that I don't put any weight on my right arm because I don't want the button to accidentally push, because I do that sometimes. I just fat finger a key and it just pushes. You know, and this control key here is that I'm out. So the body actually went below the line there. So I'm just going to stop out right above my break even on that one. But sometimes my right finger just pushes down because I let my elbow hang, which is just bad typing posture. But I also I use my right thumb for my control key, and that's like my safety. So I make sure that it doesn't go off if I'm not holding the button. Because if I just push 3 here, it'll put a number up here, and it'll kind of tell me to stop. And that's kind of why I keep the price, the candles over here, so that when I'm doing this pops up over here. But if I accidentally push a button too fast, it tells me, hey, something's happened. So let's put something over here to obscure the price action, so you're focused on what you just did instead of trying to just scramble and make sure you push buttons. So just a little psychology hack there. You kind of just put a boundary in place for yourself. All right, so with that said, let me come over here, and we got to update the spreadsheet. Let me duplicate it. So this is the this is the small account tracker that I have. So in this case, we started the day with 129.68, and we're ending with 135.18. So 135.18. So we're up about 4% for the day. Again, not huge dollar amounts, not huge percentages, but they do add up nicely. And this also does include the Saidu thing. Like I said, I'm transparent as hell, guys. I just straight up forgot to check the account, and this one went down like 30 some odd %, and it happens, right? It's something you guys can probably relate to. So I'm okay just keeping that in there, and it's good content, good education. So that position I entered it because I liked it, but I did have a defined cut point a little bit lower than where it actually went. So I'm not too shaken up about that. And then yesterday, you guys probably can't see that. It's way too small. Sorry about that. Yesterday, we had that 45% recovery after they closed their offering. And then when I was entering SOPA, I actually had a deviation. So my brain misinterpreted something that I saw in the order book. And I've been doing this for a decade and a half, and stuff like that just happens. So I was looking for a scalp entry, and I was relying on a visual cue, and that visual cue just kind of short-circuited because of the way that it reflected on the order book. So I thought that a wall was removed when in reality it was just moved down a little bit. So that was my mistake. So that's something I need to work on, which tells me I just need to put a little bit more practice in, because it's something I just don't stay up on. Just to fine tune my entries a little bit. And then today we made our profits, and all is well in the land of the small account. So I don't want to go too hard today, and that's why I'm saying I'm not dealing with drawdown on a day like this. We got the short day tomorrow. We've got the market closed on Thursday for New Year's. So I don't want to get in a fight with the market and try to be right, because it's much bigger and stronger than I am. And I also don't want to chase stuff. Like PFSA is up. We grabbed our profit. We grabbed it before it pulled all the way back down here. I don't want to deal with drawdown. EKSO, we grabbed our small loss on that one. It was an 80-cent loss, and then it just decided to blast. That's okay, right? This move is completely independent from this move, and this move is completely independent from what is contained over here that we can't see yet. You can't focus on what could have been unless you're willing to look at all 19,000 stocks that also had a move. Yeah, because they're all the same in the fact that you weren't in them, right? And then you have to look at all the drawdown that you missed out on because you weren't in those either, which means you have to equally praise yourself to combat those FOMO thoughts, and then it all just balances out. So you can't blame yourself for not being in trades. CETX had a great move, but we drew the box because of that move, and it hasn't punctured the box yet. So I'm just letting the boxes tell me what to do. Amex had a pull down here. We didn't get a higher high to break over that box. So no entry on that one. DRMA couldn't make it through the box. There's no confirmation up here either. So no entry. So I think all in all, we had a pretty good day, especially given the crappy landscape that is pre-market and low volume holiday week trading. So with that said, I am going to probably jump off here pretty soon. Does anybody have any questions? I want to hang out with you guys for a little bit. How's everyone else's trading going? And what was my, okay, $2.32. Not spectacular, but not bad, right? 232 realized divided by, what would that be? 132.68 or something. So 1.74% overall P&L, I think, for the kind of the average for yesterday and today and Friday also. I think we're okay. I think we're right on track with our 1.5% daily ROI. So not too horrible. Does everybody see the value in just doing something consistently and cutting losses? I hope. That's kind of what I'm trying to demonstrate here. Like that you don't have to take like traumatic and fantastical losses or risks in order to pursue big profits. I hope so. Like we got this one. This was a good 13% move right there. I mean, overall, I think we sold a little earlier than the top because we didn't snipe the absolute top on that. EHL, that one is nice. It just didn't give us a sign there. We didn't even get a 5 candle on that one because of this guy. He interrupted it. But good move either way. This is like a top special, this kind where it just goes and then it just goes. And if you want to, I'm willing to bet that if I put a moving average on this, it's probably going to be like right here. So let's slap that on. Yeah, right there. Good stuff. So this one is separated, like it's not even coming back to the moving average. So a lot of strength on that one. And it's right in that sweet price range. So good stuff. Do I have to have any feelings about it? No. There's no like, what about me element there. It's just, it's a good move, just objectively. It's just not my move, you know? And that's where people cross their wires and get stressed out because they attach it to their identity. And that's when it becomes, I did this wrong. I'm bad at this. I missed this. I could have had this. I needed that money, you know, like all those thoughts creep in. And they get very loud. So I don't like loud voices. I like quiet. I like being lazy. I like this just being a small piece of my day. You know, I spend a lot of time here talking to you guys and staring at charts, but when it's time for me to trade, if you guys ever look at like my posts on Wednesdays, they're usually like super fast trades just because I want to just get in and out. See, ETX just can't quite come down to the box yet. So, all right, with that said, let me end the live stream out there, and then I'll hang out with you guys in the Discord. I'll put the link in the Discord as well. I'm sorry, for the Discord in the social media channels. If you guys are watching on there, hop in the Discord. It's free. We do have paid services, but that's only when you're ready and only if it pays for itself. So you should be able to make enough money on the free side in order to try out those other stuff. Other things and stuff. And we also have a trial for now. So if you're interested, just hop in there and start the conversation. Foundation's always free though, as long as I'm here. So with that said, I'll see you guys in the Discord, and let me end this, and then I got to do my housekeeping stuff.